the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Josh All, your host, back with you today like I promised I would be, and we're going to break down this new head coaching hire of Todd Monken for the Cleveland Browns. Been about 24 hours now. I've had time to digest all the information and everything that's happened in the aftermath of the hire. I guess that's what we'll call it. And we'll talk about all of that stuff as well. So I want primarily on this episode, you guys did exactly what I asked you to, and you didn't disappoint. You sent in a ton of voicemails. So I will be getting to voicemails on this episode. And if I don't get to your voicemail that you sent in, don't worry. I got it. I'm ready to play it and talk about it. It just might not be on this episode, time depending, because to start to open things out here, I just want to go through the history of Todd Monken like I promised you guys I would yesterday. I want to talk about where he's been, what he's done, and then I really want to get into the weeds of how this could be a good hire for the Browns, and we'll talk about how this could be a bad hire for the Browns. And I want to preface everything today with this. If you don't like the hire of Todd Monken, that's okay. There are reasons to not like it. If you do like the hire of Todd Monken, that's great. There are reasons to like it. If you're skeptical of the hire or of the process or of the people making the decisions, 100% understandable and reasonable. You probably should be. So I don't let anybody tell you that you're right or you're wrong for however you feel about this. How you feel is how you feel because of this reason or that reason, and it's all good because this is not one of those slam dunk, yes, that made perfect sense, yes, we got the best guy available type of hires. Now, there's no doubt that Todd Monken is a good, proven, offensive-minded coach. There's also reason to be skeptical because he's never been a head coach at the NFL level before, and he is 60 years old. Okay, fine, he's 59. He turns 60 next week. We're just going to call it 60 because next week's his birthday. So let's dive into this. Before we do, remember, you guys, please go to jointhedawgs.com. Number one, if you want to support the show, it helps us out financially. We're an independent podcast. We're doing all of this on our own, and we love it. We do it for you guys, and it's a ton of fun. But that's a great way, jointhedawgs.com, to support the show. Plus, if you want to, you can get into the Dog Pack community right there on Patreon, sync up with the private Discord, come hang out with all the diehard Browns fans. That chat in there, the last 24 hours, I mean, honestly, the last, 25 days of this head coaching search was awesome. Fantastic conversations, information being shared, theories being debated, just good times in the Dog Pack. So head to jointhedawgs.com. You get to play fantasy football with us. You get to be part of the Dog Pack Discord live episodes that we do. The next one will be sometime next week, maybe even next weekend. I'm not sure because we're planning to do an actual YouTube live episode, me, Blake, and Justin, sometime this weekend. So stay tuned as well for that. All right, so let's talk about Todd Monken a little bit here. And then, again, there's some other things that happened yesterday that came out immediately following the hire that I want to get to. But the pros of the Browns hiring Todd Monken. Okay, there's a few of them here. Let's just kind of go through some of my notes. Number one, like I said in the open, he is a proven offensive mind. This is true. Todd Monken has a long history of designing effective offenses in both college and in the NFL. When he was with the Ravens, his offense was highly productive, prolific passing with Lamar Jackson. They had a high rushing output, which I think is really key. We'll talk about it. And overall, pretty much balanced. He's known for adapting his scheme to his personnel rather than forcing the personnel into a rigid system, which could benefit a Browns roster with varied strengths. I think that's important. We got really sick and tired, or at least I would say the majority of the fan base. Me, definitely. I got sick and tired of watching Kevin Stefanski try to put everybody into his offense. You're going to run my offense. You're going to run it my way. You will fit into this system. Well, turns out not everybody fits perfectly into your system. Kevin was just always trying to take a square peg and shove it into a round hole, and it did not work. We saw it with Deshaun Watson. I mean, I think Shedeur Sanders did the best he could given that type of situation. It still wasn't ideal for him. So a guy like Todd Monken, who has proven that he can run a more versatile offense, he can adapt to the skill set of his players, that kind of stuff gets me excited for what he could potentially come in here and do with this young roster that we don't have anything set in place. We don't have a locked-in QB1. We think it's probably going to be Shedeur Sanders to start the season. I think the hiring of Todd Monken is a positive for the prospects of Shedeur Sanders' future as the Browns quarterback, at least here in 2026. Number 2 reason, or pro for hiring Todd Monken, experience in developing talent. At Georgia, Todd Monken helped lead the offense to back-to-back college football national championships, and that showed that he can coach and maximize elite players. When he was with Cleveland in 2019, previously as the offensive coordinator under Freddie Kitchens, and some of his other stops, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, Baltimore, he has worked with multiple different quarterbacks, different styles of quarterbacks, and different skill groups. And I'll go through his coaching history as well. He's been a wide receivers coach, a quarterbacks coach. He's worked with tons and tons and tons of different quarterbacks. So I think his robust experience is definitely a benefit for the Browns. He has familiarity. I hate saying that word, familiarity with the Browns. Monken previously served, like I said, as the OC for the Browns in 2019 under Freddie Kitchens. That gives him some, familiarity with the organization and this team and everything. And remember, he was here when Jimmy Haslam was the owner. So to have already been here once under this ownership and to now come back again speaks a little bit to okay, I know what I'm getting myself into with these people. And he's taking it on anyway. I also think part of that, and this could be a con if you want to look at it this way, Todd Monken is 60 years old. He's never been a head coach in the NFL before. We've established this. This might be his one and only shot. Maybe he saw this as, hey, this is probably my last one and only final opportunity for a head coaching gig at this level. I am not going to miss out on this. I don't care if the ownership is a bunch of morons. I don't care if the franchise is dysfunctional. I'm taking a head coaching job because I've always wanted one, and now I'm going to take it. Maybe that was part of the reasoning for why this all went down to, which I think that would probably be a negative. I don't know. Again, that's just speculation, but it could be. And the final pro here about hiring Todd Monken that I have written down, leadership and vision. Brown's leadership specifically praised Monken's leadership style, his communication, and his player development emphasis during the hiring process. Allegedly, he put together a more cohesive or comprehensive offensive plan than Jim Schwartz did, which is why Monken was given the job over Jim Schwartz. And I think that his history, his experience with different offenses, different quarterbacks, different schemes and things like that, his adaptability, versatility, all that kind of stuff is probably what led the Browns to go with him over a guy like Nate Scheelhaase, who has not done it yet. He's never been an offensive coordinator at the NFL level. He's all that kind of stuff. So while I do think, and we'll talk more about this later in some of your voicemails, I do think Nate Scheelhaase was probably the pick. I think that's probably the pick the process led them to. I think that's probably who Andrew Berry wanted. We'll see if information starts to leak out about some of this stuff, but I don't know, guys. Like I said, there are pros and cons here for Todd Monken. As you can tell, I'm not sold on it. I'm not fighting against my gut anymore with these Browns decisions. I will say the last two main key personnel decisions the Browns have made that I had a strong internal gut reaction against them doing were when they hired Ken Dorsey as the offensive coordinator in 2024 and when they drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round last year. Those two stand out in my memory vividly for me because I remember having instant gut reactions of this is not good. I did not want Ken Dorsey. I did not want the Browns to hire him. This is not going to be good. And then I did my research and all this stuff and where he's had success and who he's worked with and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, talked myself into why, you know what, this is probably a really good thing for the Browns. And I got excited about it. And guess what? Bad decision, Josh. Your gut was right. That was a piss poor hire. Ken Dorsey sucks. That didn't go very well. Last year, did the same damn thing with Dillon Gabriel. The Browns drafted him. My instant gut reaction was like, what in the are we doing? A third round? Dillon Gabriel, are you kidding me? I'm sitting there on my couch on draft, and I remember watching this, and I'm just like looking at the screen going, what? You're kidding me. Did the research, listened to what the Browns had to say, listened to their media mouthpieces tell me, oh, this is a really great draft pick, actually. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can buy into this. Okay. All right, I can see how this can work. Maybe he's not, maybe size isn't that big a deal and all this kind of stuff. Should have stuck with my gut reaction, Josh. Dillon Gabriel sucks. Just sometimes the gut reaction is what you got to stick with, and then let the people prove you wrong. And that's what I'm doing with Todd Monken. My gut reaction was, I don't like this hire. I don't like it. He was not, I can't even say he was not anywhere close to the top of my list for the candidates. He was the one guy on the list of candidates that I just completely discarded. I was like, Todd Monken, I'm not even going to talk about him or consider him because, one, I didn't think it was a serious possibility, and two, I didn't want him. I'll be very, I did not. You guys know that. If you watch the show, I never talked about him. Didn't want him. Wasn't interested. So that's my gut. I'm going to ride with that. I'm going to leave half my mind open to these pros, these positives of, okay, maybe this could work. But I'm still going to remain skeptical in my initial gut reaction. I'm going to let Todd Monken and the Browns prove me wrong, because every time I try to let them prove me right or whatever, they just, no, doesn't happen. So with that being said, let's move over into the cons list about hiring Todd Monken. There's a mixed past Cleveland experience. His previous stint in Cleveland was chaotic and fraught with internal conflict. There have been reports. It was a Zach Jackson article from 2019 indicated he was publicly criticizing the team's situation in 2019. He would tell other coaches on the field before games, like, it's a total mess here, which does raise questions about maybe his professionalism and his fit. But on the pro side of that, from what I've read and understood about Todd Monken, is he doesn't take any shit. He is a very straightforward, tell you how it is type of coach, type of guy, and just does not take any BS. So, from my understanding, 2019 was Freddie Kitchens' team. Like, he was the head coach. Yes, Todd Monken was the offensive coordinator, but you know how this goes when you have an offensive-minded head coach. You have the head coaches calling the plays. There were reports that the Browns would practice a certain thing during the week, and then we would get to game day on Sunday, and Freddie Kitchens would do something totally different throughout the game. He would just change it on a whim, and you saw players would yell in his face on the sidelines. That was a debacle of a season. So it's understandable that a guy like Todd Monken, who's a no BS type of coach, would be telling other coaches before games like, yeah, this is a total mess here. This place sucks. These guys are idiots. Like, okay, he's a straight shooter, I think, is the best way to describe. He's a straight shooter. He's going to tell you how it is. He's not going to sugarcoat stuff. I appreciate that type of approach. But the second con here, leadership track record, is limited. He has never been a head coach in the NFL. His only previous head coaching experience was at Southern Miss, and he had a 13-25 record over, I believe it was 3 seasons at Southern Miss. So not great. Historical precedent suggests coaches hired as first-time NFL head coaches at an older age don't last very long. Only one lasted beyond 3 seasons among similar cases. That had to be, I didn't look this up, had to be Bruce Arians, because the only head coach to get his first head coaching job in the NFL at an older age than Todd Monken was Bruce Arians. That's it. So outside of Bruce Arians, who had been an interim head coach before that, a little bit different situation than Todd Monken, who's never had any head coaching experience whatsoever in the NFL. He's the oldest head coach to ever have his first-time gig in the NFL. So there's a voicemail later. I'll kind of save some of that age discussion when we get to that. Number 3 here, offensive ups and downs. While successful in some roles, Monken's offense have been inconsistent results, including inconsistent rushing usage, notably with Derrick Henry at Baltimore, that may raise questions about his decision-making. His positive offensive output sometimes coincided with elite quarterbacks already being in place. Example, Lamar Jackson, Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay. Rather than building up lesser proven passers, we need to talk about that. I got a message from the website. I will go through it. I see a lot of people on social media and stuff trying to argue, and I can't tell how many people are actually believe what they're saying on these positives about Monken, or if they're just trying to talk themselves into it, or if they are just trying to run cover for the team and get you to buy back into what they are doing, even though this entire head coaching search was a freaking mess. And one of the arguments they'll use is, well, Todd Monken got Lamar Jackson to two of his best seasons in the NFL. Yeah, that was Lamar Jackson, guys. Do we have Lamar Jackson? Is he coming here? Is he coming along with Todd Monken? No. A little bit different story when you've got a very ambiguous quarterback situation you are working with. It's much easier to go in and have immediate high-level success with a guy like Lamar Jackson when he's already been in the league for like 6 or 7 years. That makes sense. It doesn't take as much to be successful with Lamar Jackson and Derrick freaking Henry. So please stop using that as a comparison. That is not our situation in Cleveland.
This episode is partnered with Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay just to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Will Shedeur Sanders be the Browns' Week 1 starting quarterback? Will the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl? Will Fernando Mendoza be the first overall pick in the NFL draft? And in other sports, will the Cavs make the NBA playoffs? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $10 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs and trades $100. Get away from disadvantageous sports books and dive into real-world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to Kalshi, KALSHI.com/dogs, DAWGS, or just click the link in the description to get $10 when you trade $100 with Kalshi. Because why shouldn't you get paid for being right?
Number 4 con about the hire for Todd Monken. The coaching search controversy. Some around the league and fan base reacted with surprise or criticism. Yeah, you think? Viewing the hire as unexpected or underwhelming relative to the other candidates, which might reflect uncertainty about the hire's vision. Defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz was passed over, and here we go. The fallout, the aftermath, reportedly may leave as a result, potentially weakening one of the team's best units. Let's talk about this. I said that this coaching search, I was not going to deem it a mess or dysfunctional or a disaster unless Nate Scheelhaase told the Browns no, and we ended up just having to go with Jim Schwartz by default. Then the whole thing, the 24 days spent, the 3 weeks wasted, would have been an absolute dysfunctional shit show. Well, what we got was actually worse than that scenario. So I will go ahead and say this entire head coaching search was a fiasco. I'm not going to put lipstick on a pig with this thing. It sucked. They didn't know what they were doing. Obviously, they held out for 24 days just so they could interview Nate Scheelhaase, because Nate Scheelhaase was their top candidate. You don't put off and prolong a coaching search like this for one guy not to end up with him. You have missed out on putting a coaching staff together to get ready for things like the Senior Bowl, which is already over halfway done this week. You've missed out on so many opportunities to get things in place. If you were going to go with Todd Monken, you could have done it 3 weeks ago. This was not the plan. This was not the vision. This was not the original what they set out to do. This was a fallback. And as it was reported yesterday, the Browns told Nate Shieldhouse no. So it's not like they offered him the job and he said no, or he withdrew his name like all these other candidates, which now does look bad because of the way things went with this coaching search. They told Nate Shieldhouse they're going a different direction. So you can't convince me that Jimmy Haslam didn't step in here because he was uncomfortable with the young guy in Nate Shieldhouse, who by reports hit it off big time with Andrew Berry. So I gotta believe that this is another instance which has happened before. Jimmy Haslam stepping in and telling the Browns, no, we're going to go with Hugh Jackson instead of Sean McDermott, who the search committee came away as their favorite leading candidate. The search committee came away saying, we would like to hire this young guy. I know he's never been an offensive coordinator. He's never called plays or anything, but we like Kevin Stefanski, this guy from Minnesota who got to be the interim OC for a little bit here in 2018. And Jimmy Haslam stepped in and said, no, we're going to hire Freddie Kitchens instead of Kevin Stefanski. So there's a precedent here. There is history of ownership stepping in and saying, no, I don't care what the process led you to. We're going with my guy. I believe this time the process took them to Nate Shieldhouse, and Jimmy Haslam ownership said, no, we're going to go with Todd Monken. And the big reason why this entire coaching search was a complete effing mess. Everything was predicated on this entire coaching search was completely built around you have got to keep Jim Schwartz as the defensive coordinator. Head coaching candidates were told. This was reported. I got something to say about some of these reporters too. It was reported for weeks, 3 weeks. The Browns are not necessarily saying it's in stone you have to keep Jim Schwartz, but it would be really preferred if you did. We'd really like it if you would keep Jim Schwartz. It's why the young guys, maybe Udinsky, had some hesitation, said, I don't really feel like having your coaching staff forced on me. So it was all predicated around keeping Jim Schwartz. As soon as the announcement came out about the hire of Todd Monken, it was reported right then and there in the announcement. The Browns liked his vision for the offense, liked his vision for the team, and they feel that him and Jim Schwartz can work well together. That was in the original announcement. And then right after that, what do we get? Jim Schwartz is gone. He says, peace out. I'm out of here. You guys bypassed me for this head coaching job. I want nothing to do with you. I'm gone. Whoa. Good job, Cleveland. You want to talk about dysfunctional head coaching search? This is the worst of the worst. Okay. And it blows my mind. The entire head coaching search was predicated on keeping Jim Schwartz. You made the final decision to hire Todd Monken specifically because you liked his offense, and he was the guy who was willing to keep Jim Schwartz. And by doing all of that, Jim Schwartz walks out the door. I mean, you can't write this stuff. You can't make it up. This is what has happened with this coaching search. I mean, it's a joke. It is a joke. I don't blame anybody out there for making fun of this team and talking about, like, this is ridiculous. Oh my gosh. So Jim Schwartz got pissed. Reportedly, he was in Berea yesterday when the Browns notified him that Todd Monken was going to be the head coach, and Jim Schwartz did not get the job. And reportedly, he was furious. Reportedly, he told other coaches in the building that were there, I'm gone, I'm done, I'm not coming back. Jim Schwartz is gone, guys. Okay, I know it's not like official that he's gone. He is under contract for 2026. He's gone. He's gone. You don't make a scene like that and then come back and work under the head coach that you're irate got the job over you. And if he does, we are entering potential repeat of Hugh Jackson, Todd Haley territory. This could get ugly. It really could. Now, I don't anticipate that happening because I think Jim Schwartz is definitely gone. I don't see how you keep him after all of this has taken place. So there you go. That's what happened yesterday. Unreal that you spent 24 days running your entire search around keeping Jim Schwartz, and in the end, he walks out the door. There we go. All right, so bottom line with Todd Monken, there is obviously a mix among the fan base. Oh, you know what? Real quick, before I move on to my notes here with Monken, let me just talk about these reporters. Okay, this is what drives me nuts. So this is just a little bit of an aside here. I appreciate you guys bearing with me on some tangents. Did anybody... I feel like I'm getting gaslit by these idiots on social media, these Browns reporters and media people. So as soon as the reports come out that Jim Schwartz got pissed off because he got bypassed for head coach and he's not coming back to the Browns anymore, all of a sudden all these people start posting, well, I can't believe anybody thought Jim Schwartz would even stay here. Everybody knew that he was going to leave if he didn't get the head coaching job. Nobody thought he was going to stay around as the defensive coordinator after this season. Where the f*** have I been the last 3 weeks? That's all I've heard. That's all you've talked about is how you have to keep Jim Schwartz as the defensive coordinator. Nobody said he was guaranteed to leave if he didn't get the head coaching job. Where have I been? Did I miss something? I hate these people out there that are like, oh yeah, of course this is what was going to happen. We knew it all along. Bullshit. Shut up. Quit gaslighting everybody. I hate these people, man. I hate them. It just drives me nuts. So thank you guys for bearing with me. I guess got to get a little bit of that off my chest. I feel like I'm living in a different reality than some people out there. And that's why these media mouthpiece morons for the Browns, sometimes I can't stand it. Can't freaking stand it. Because you just don't know what to believe with them. Are they telling you what they really think? Are they telling you what they really believe? Or are they just telling you what the Browns want them to tell us so that way we don't lose any more season ticket holders? Because they are losing season ticket holders, I think at a pretty quick rate as well. So, all right. Why could Todd Monken be a good fit for the Browns? Number one, he's a real offensive problem solver. Okay. He isn't married to one scheme. We talked about that. He has won with different offensive systems. He has won with a spread and tempo offense at Oklahoma State. He has won with an NFL vertical passing offense in Tampa Bay. QB-centric run-pass balance offense with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry in Baltimore, and he's won with a pro-style efficiency plus physicality-type offense in Georgia in the college football space. So he definitely does have a track record. It is proven track record of adapting his offense to his personnel. That's a positive. I'm good. I'm on board with that. And like I put here for a Browns roster that doesn't really have an answer at quarterback, their offensive line, who the frick knows? Skill position needs dramatic help. Being versatile is a very important thing. He brings some credibility and some edge. Players generally respect Todd Monken because he's direct, demanding, doesn't sugarcoat. He has coached stars and rebuilt bad programs, and he's not learning on the job. As a play caller, he's been there, done it, knows what he's doing. So that could lend to things getting off on a faster start with Todd Monken than it would somebody newer and upper-coming like a Nate Scheelhaase or a Grant Udinski. Okay, that's all fair, and I agree with that. He has survived in chaos before. Southern Miss was a disaster when he arrived. Georgia had immense pressure to win. Tampa Bay was volatile. Baltimore came with Lamar-centric scrutiny. Todd Monken has operated in messy environments, which, let's be real, that's part of the Browns' job description. He understands what did not work in Cleveland before. I mentioned that earlier. 2019 shows he knows how bad communication can sink a staff under Freddie Kitchens. He's seen what happens when roles aren't clear. And he's lived through Cleveland's media and expectations before, so he's got experience handling that as well. Now, here's why Todd Monken could end up being a poor hire for the Cleveland Browns. He is a first-time NFL head coach at nearly 60 years old. Talked about this already. That's the biggest red flag. No NFL head coaching reps, no track record managing entire buildings, not just offenses. I know a lot of people's argument out there is, well, he's done this with this team and this with that team as the OC, not the head coach, not the CEO role. And remember what I say all the time, some guys are just really good coordinators. but they're not good head coaches. That was my argument for Jim Schwartz not being the head coach. I'm not saying that's the case with Todd Monken, but it could be. So that creates a situation where expectations are going to be a little bit higher. Margin for error is going to be a little bit lower starting out. Brown's history cuts both ways. Yes, he's been here. 2019 at the same time was ugly. Internal dysfunction, public frustration, lack of alignment between the coaches and the leadership. That will lead people to question if it blew up once while he was here on this coaching staff, could it happen again? He's an offensive guy. Our strength is the defense. If hiring Monken cost the Browns defensive continuity, if it costs us Jim Schwartz, that's a problem. You've already got players. Myles Garrett already took to Instagram, posted the "I'm tired, boss" picture of the employee sitting out back, just sunken in, head down. The defensive players are not going to be happy that we lost Jim Schwartz. So Todd Monken is going to have to really salvage that. That's why I feel like this whole thing got real messy real fast. Jumping from coordinator to the CEO role is a real deal. Calling plays is not equal to running an organization. Todd Monken, he's going to have to hire the right assistants immediately, which sounds like he did a good job he already brought over the offensive line coach from Baltimore, George Warfield. Wow, I should have written that down. Either way, long time running back or O-line coach in the NFL, been doing it since like 96 or something. I forget. Dude's been in like almost every organization imaginable. He's also been with the Browns before. So we've got another coach, and there's going to be more coaches from Baltimore coming with Todd Monken. It sounds like there's going to be a little bit of a tug of war going on between John Harbaugh in New York and Todd Monken in Cleveland over who gets some of these Baltimore coaches. Todd Monken's going to have to manage egos and expectations. He's going to have to handle the ownership pressure because he was probably their pick. He's going to have to balance long-term vision with short-term survival. That's going to be key. Some of the best coordinators in the NFL have never been able to do that. Why it could work, bottom line, he brings competence, adaptability, toughness, offensive clarity. Those are things the Browns have lacked for a while. Why it could fail, late career first-time head coach, volatility in Cleveland, limited margin for error, puts the pressure on him to succeed almost immediately. So that's Todd Monken, pros, cons, how it could work, how it couldn't, in kind of a nutshell. If you want to go back and you want to look, he started his career Grand Valley State way back in 1989, the year of my birth. Graduate assistant there, went to Notre Dame as a graduate assistant, Eastern Michigan, DB coach, wide receivers. Then he moved on to the offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach at Eastern Michigan. Then he went to Louisiana Tech, coached the running backs and wide receivers. And then after that was Oklahoma State, pass game coordinator, wide receiver coach. Then he went to LSU, same role. Then he made the jump to the NFL in 2007 with the Jaguars. He was the wide receivers coach. Then he went back to Oklahoma State to be the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks coach there. So that was his second offensive coordinator stint in college football was at Oklahoma State in 2011. Then in 2013, he took the head coaching job, his only head coaching experience at Southern Miss in 2013, 14, and 15. And that was it for college football for a while. Jumped back into the NFL in 2016 as the offensive coordinator, wide receiver coach for Tampa Bay. And then he was just the sole offensive coordinator. He wasn't the wide receiver coach anymore in 2018. 2019 came to Cleveland as the offensive coordinator. We know that. Then after 2019 said, I'm done with this NFL crap, went back to college. And that's where he won his national championships with Georgia as the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks coach. And then came back to the NFL most recently 2023 through 2025 as the OC in Baltimore. So there you have her. I got some other things to talk about. We got some voicemails. Let's take a quick break and we'll dive into that stuff.
This episode is sponsored by ButcherBox. Browns fans, I hope you didn't miss out on the Christmas promotion from ButcherBox, but if you did, I have great news. The promo is still running this week. Head to ButcherBox.com right now and new members will receive your choice between free New York strip, ribeye, or filet mignon in every single box for an entire year. Plus, you get an extra $20 off with promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, at checkout. Just head over to ButcherBox.com, choose your box and your delivery frequency. With the custom classic box, you get exactly what you and your family love. Choose from over 80 products, including meat and seafood. Plus, you can manage your entire subscription online, and you can change your box type, your product selections, your frequency, or your delivery date at any time. Shipping is always free. Deliveries come straight to your door on your schedule, and you can cancel anytime. Every meal is easier when your freezer is stocked with high-quality meat and seafood from ButcherBox. That's ButcherBox.com. Right now, get your choice between free New York strip, ribeye, or filet mignon in every box for an entire year, plus $20 off with promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. This episode is sponsored by ISSA. Browns fans, if you're into health and fitness, have you ever wondered how you could maybe turn those hobbies and your passion into an actual career? If that sounds interesting to you, then ISSA has the opportunity you've been looking for. ISSA is the International Sports Science Association, and they can help you become a certified personal trainer in as little as 3 months. And right now you can get $100 off your certification when you sign up through our link, joinissa.com/dogs, DAWGS. Now, certifications are 100% online, self-study, and self-paced. You can study anywhere from your phone, tablet, or computer. And the final exam is open note, open book, aka piece of cake. Except you fitness nuts probably don't eat a ton of cake, so let's just call it a piece of delicious protein bar. And ISSA has the #1 job guarantee in the industry. If you get certified and sign up to be a certified trainer with ISSA, you have a job guarantee or your money back. ISSA has over 10,000 gym partners that have over 73,000 open jobs for trainers right now. And you don't need a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. You just need your certification to qualify for these jobs. So what are you waiting for? With certification this simple, there's no excuse not to pursue your passion and become a certified personal trainer today. Get $100 off your certification at joinissa.com/dogs. You've wanted to make a change long enough. Now it's time to do something about it. That's joinissa.com/dogs for $100 off your personal trainer certification.
All right, everybody, thanks for hanging with me through the break. Got a message here from the website from my man, Vinty. I love it when Vinty sends me messages. He's just such a nice guy. Vinty says, I was not excited about Monken until I heard how much you hated it. You are a complete moron, so it must be a great hire. You just make stupid shit up just to bitch because you want to bitch. Monken has turned both Tampa and the Shitbirds into #1 offenses. It's clear they didn't think the young guys were ready. I have been a Browns fan for over 45 years, and I can't stand you stupid kids that bitch and complain just to bitch and complain when you know absolutely nothing about it. Get off my lawn. Okay, Vinty. So first of all, I'm stupid for not being happy about Todd Monken, even though you said you weren't happy about Todd Monken either. Sorry, Vinny, got to poke some gaping holes in that rationale, man. Also, per the reports, like I said, it sounds like the GM and search committee did think that Nate Shieldhouse was ready, but he and Andrew Berry got off or hit it off. The relationship was good. They waited 24 days to hire Nate Shieldhouse, guys. Okay, Vinty? They did think he was ready. Jimmy Haslam ownership did not. And by the way, like I said, track record, not great when ownership makes their decision. And Vinty, I'm not bitching and complaining because I don't know anything. Actually, it's because of what I do know. That's the reason why I'm not thrilled about this hire. I do know that the process, I said this earlier, took the Browns to Sean McDermott. Ownership wanted Hugh Jackson. I do know that the process took the Browns to Kevin Stefanski, but ownership liked Freddie Kitchens. So it's simply deductive reasoning on my part that the process took the Browns to Shieldhouse, but ownership wanted Monken. I do know some things. I may be a moron, but I'm not an uninformed moron. To your point about Todd Monken turning the Bucs and Ravens into #1 offenses, your words. You said He turned them into number one offenses in Tampa Bay. 2016, the offense was ranked 18th in both yards and points. 2017, they were ranked 9th in yards and 18th again in points. 2018, they were much better, 3rd in yards, 12th in points. 2019, with the Browns, 22nd in both yards and points. And then in Baltimore, 2023, they were 6th in yards, 4th in points. 2024, 1st in yards and 3rd in points. Notice that's the first time I said first. And then in 2025 here, they were 16th in yards and 11th in points. So, Vinty, as it turns out, Todd Monken's offense was never the number one offense in either yards or points when he was in Tampa Bay. Certainly not the number one offense when he was in Cleveland. And he only finished number one in yards one time in 3 seasons with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in Baltimore. So, turns out, Vinty, that you might actually not know what you're talking about when it comes to Todd Monken. And then this morning, Vinty was back on the website sending me a follow-up message. He says, so after just spending a couple hours looking into Monken, there isn't a single negative thing about this move. By the way, I just spent a bunch of time talking about the negatives. He says, which completely proves your ignorance and incompetence. Maybe instead of just making shit up and pretending you have any idea what you are talking about, you could actually try to learn about the subject you are mindlessly complaining about. Sounds like you're doing a hell of a lot of complaining here, Vinty. Not only did we get one of the most respected offensive minds in the game over the last 10 years, but he is also bringing one of the best O-line coaches in the past 30 years along with him. The rest of the names that have been connected to him to fill out his staff are also amazing. He doesn't list who those names are, so I don't know if Vinty even knows. I guess if you actually had to learn about football, you couldn't mindlessly bitch and complain, which you seem to think makes you sound like you know something. I'm sure you will continue to make things up and bitch about fake stories because you wouldn't have anything to say if it wasn't mindless complaining. Thank you, Vinty. Again, I got to point out in your original message, you did say you didn't like the hire initially. So why am I incompetent for not liking it when you also said yourself that you didn't like it? Keep sending me in those messages. You are doing some fantastic work, Vinty. I love reading your stuff for the fans on the show. I did get one other message here from the website. This one is from Cameron. Very opposite of Vinty, Cameron just wrote in the word woof. Cameron, dog check, brother. Woof, woof. Let's go. All right, let's get over to these voicemails. The first one, haven't heard from him in about a week or so. We got Kenny Mack.
Yo, guys, it is Kenny Mack, and I told you it was going to be some form of Monken and Schwartz. I mean, I don't know what you expect with all these different stipulations you put on these interviews. This was my last choice, but you know what? Schwartz blew up and he's gone, and I don't know what he expected. He's not going to give a good offensive focus for what the Browns need to do moving forward. And that was the key to this interview. But what the real key is the elephant in the room, and that's Deshaun Watson. He is the $70 million anchor, the $130 million cap hit sitting on the back of that bench, and Jimmy needs some answers for it, so he didn't waste $250 million. With the Browns, I mean, we've heard complaints about the coaching. There's no accountability. They can't handle the media. And, you know, we don't never had a great O. Well, I mean, Moncton checks those boxes off. He's got top 10 offenses. He's quick-witted. He's got a high on sarcasm, man, sharp sarcasm. And I think he can take the media for a ride. And he holds guys accountable is what I've heard. So we'll see what happens. I don't really care if he threw the 2019 Browns under the bus when talking to people because they were a shit show. And I don't care if he didn't get along with Lamar because, you know what? Who does? At the end of the day, he might be a spicy version of Shermer, but we'll see. Go Browns.
Kenny's been the one talking about this Deshaun Watson thing for a while under Todd Monken and all this stuff, and he's been texting us about it. And I said on the show the other day, I agree with him. Don't fool yourself into thinking there's no chance that Deshaun Watson ever plays again for the Cleveland Browns. I think the situation the Browns are in, you have got to look at this realistically. He's here. He is here in 2026, no matter what. There's going to be a quarterback competition this summer at camp between Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. I know a lot of people say, well, you know, we'll see if they bring in another outside guy. The Browns don't have the resources to spend cap space on the quarterback position. We have too many other things we need. We have got to focus heavily offensive line in free agency. We've got to try to get a veteran wide receiver or two. I'm not talking about the higher end guys that are going to cost a lot of money. I'm just saying to fill out that wide receiver room so we don't have UDFAs on the field every freaking week. We'll have like a 4 or 5 year veteran who's not going to demand a lot of cap space, but you can at least bring onto this roster at a low price point. You've got to use your cap dollars, your cap space at allocation to the offensive line. Got to build that up because you can't draft 5 starting offensive linemen, despite what some people might think when they're doing their mock drafts out there. You're not getting all 5 new starters in the draft and a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2. You got to do it in free agency with this offensive line. They can't go out and spend or compete with what other teams will probably be willing to spend on a Daniel Jones or a Malik Willis or some of these other. They're not even like that high of end quarterbacks in free agency, but they're the guys that are going to demand the most money. We just can't do it. Browns aren't in that. Don't have that sort of luxury to spend at that position anymore. It's all tied up in Deshaun Watson. Then you've got the 5th round salary on Shedeur Sanders. It's a great situation if you can just get league average production out of one of them. It's really all we need. It's really all we can ask for, and anything above and beyond that is just icing on the cake. So I'm with Kenny. I got to give him his props. He has been preaching that Deshaun Watson stuff, and I'm telling you, I agree with him. I really do. I just don't see how it goes any other way here. But we'll move on to this next voicemail. Thanks, Kenny. This one is from Bryant.
How are we doing, Browns fans? This is Bryant Beard from Carmel, Indiana, lifelong Browns fan. This is my first time calling in. I've been listening to you guys this whole season. I appreciate what you're doing, but I'll get right to it. Hopefully this is my first and last venting session on this podcast, but I highly doubt it. So, Jimmy and D. No offense to anyone that shares these names, but I am so sick and tired of hearing these 2 names. Honestly, I mean, can we get some new ownership with names that don't sound like they're force-feeding their family recipe at their shitty bed and breakfast? I mean, Jimmy and D serving up sleepless nights and gag-worthy meals since 2012. I can't do it anymore. I mean, there was once a time in my life when being a Browns fan in the offseason meant a time of peace and hope and restoration, but only the Cleveland Browns under Jimmy Haslam can find a noteworthy way to lose when they're not even playing a game. The only hope at this point is that usually when I have offseason hope, it ends in despair, but honestly, I don't have any hope anymore, so maybe that's the hope. The fact that I don't have hope means that something good might happen, but I will not hold my breath. Appreciate you guys and everything you're doing, and looking forward to hearing everyone else and their thoughts. Bye.
Okay, so I think it's safe to say Bryant is on the not thrilled side of this hire. Thank you for the voicemail, Bryant. And no, this will not be your final vent session on this podcast, because the offseason, my friend, has only just begun. It's got a whole lot. There's a whole lot left to go, brother. A whole lot more to do. We have only just now done the head coach hire. And I think a lot of what Bryant was voicing there in his message speaks to the process. I talked about this already. Whatever way people want to sugarcoat it, the process in this head coaching search was completely flawed. It was dysfunctional. I said that. I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt, but in the end, it proved 100% absolutely dysfunctional and honestly kind of comical if you're just a little bit sick in the head, because like you got to laugh or else you're just going to freaking cry all the time with this team. Like I said before, it took 24 days of demanding everybody, you got to keep Jim Schwartz. That's the priority. We can't lose Jim Schwartz. Yeah, Jim Schwartz is gone. So the process was flawed. You guys are morons. Great job. Great work on your head coaching search. All right, Brian, appreciate it. Next voicemail here. This one is from Caleb.
Hey, this is my first time calling in. My name is Caleb. I am from Ohio. And geez, Todd Monken. I mean, I was hopefully optimistic. You know, at one point it was, maybe we'll get John Harbaugh and he'll, turn us around. And then it was, maybe we didn't deserve him. That's all right. We'll take Mike McDaniel. That'll be good. And then it was like, I can kind of see why he left too. Let's take Udinski. That'll be perfect. Young guy. We wanted to go look for an offensive mind that would change us around. Younger dude, get something new, something fresh. And then we couldn't get him. And then it's like, okay, well, for me at least, it was like, I'll settle on Shieldhouse. And now we have Todd Monken. What are we doing? I mean, he's never been a head coach before. I'm so frustrated with this whole situation. I want to know what your thoughts are on the whole Todd Monken thing, because if we were going to pick Todd Monken all along, we could have saved ourselves, the 25 days? I'm just frustrated. Is our organization that bad that nobody would want us?
Yeah, Caleb. The Browns organization is kind of that bad. We have a reputation. We have a track record of doing some of the dumbest things imaginable, which is why I'm not just blindly agreeing with everything they do like some of the Cleveland media folks who just want to run cover for the team and tell you why every move they make is just definitely the right move. I agree with you, Caleb. If we were just going to go with Monken anyway, we could have done it weeks ago and had our staff in place, coaches down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. I've said these things. The process, more than the result, is what's killing me about the whole thing. It's that once again, Jimmy Haslam stepped in, overrode the search committee. I don't know that for a fact, but after 24 days waiting specifically for Nate Shieldhouse, it's just hard to really feel otherwise in that regard. I had people on X question me, why would you prefer one of the first-timers for the head coach over Todd Monken, referring to Grant Udinski and Nate Shieldhouse? And I had to remind people, Todd Monken is also a first-time head coach, guys. Okay? Difference is twofold, actually, if you want to look at it from both sides here. We'll pro and con this thing. Todd Monken's been in the NFL and in college and coaching and being an offensive coordinator for like 20-plus years, and he's never once gotten a head coaching gig. That could be a red flag for people. I don't blame you if that's like hey, what are we doing here? No one else has given this guy a shot in all these years. On the other side of things, Todd Monken has all those years of experience dealing with the NFL, dealing with different offenses, different players. He's got a lot of that knowledge and experience to where maybe this can be successful. Versus the younger guys, you got the up-and-coming, unproven, unknown. Maybe there's a huge ceiling with Udinski or Shieldhouse, and we miss out on it. Could very well go south with those guys too as first-time head coaches because they don't have the experience that Monken has. So I get it. You can look at it from both sides, and you're not wrong either way. You're not right either way. I think we got to let this thing play out and see what happens. Another thing I wanted to mention, like Quincy Carrier, and I love Quincy, don't get me wrong, he's a good dude, he does great work, but he's doing the same thing as some of these other people and just trying to tell everybody they're dumb for wanting one of the younger guys and not Todd Monken. He was saying the other day on X, the only thing that people know about Grant Udinski was a 3-minute, 30-second video clip on Twitter that was shared around. Like, nobody even knows who this guy is. I was talking about Grant Udinski before the season was even over. I said that that's a guy they need to look into if and when they fire Kevin. Okay, Google exists. Just because some people, Quincy, I love you, but just because some people didn't take the time or don't take the time to research who some of these guys are and look into them and where they've been, what they've done, who they've worked with, what other people have said about them, what they've learned, accomplished, all these things, doesn't mean that some of us other people haven't done that. Like, I looked into all those things, and that's why I was really big on Grant Udinski. I didn't just watch a 30-second video clip of him and come on this podcast and tell everybody, he's the guy. No, I knew more about him than that, and that's why I liked him. But you're right, Caleb, we got Todd Monken. Let's see what Greg has to say.
What's going on, guys? I'm Greg Scally. I wanted to put my 2 cents in on the new coach for the Cleveland Browns, Todd Monken. I think it's a good thing, and there is some bad things. Obviously, starting with the bad things first, I think his age. Obviously, it doesn't look like the Cleveland Browns are looking for the long run ahead and retaining a head coach for a long period of time. I also think that him never having experience as a head coach is probably going to hurt us as well. We don't know, though. I mean, there has been some older coaches that have succeeded, but they have had a head coach experience. The things that I do like is his resume, obviously with the Georgia Bulldogs and, his college experience with the offenses. I know the NFL is completely different, but he has success in the NFL as well as an offensive coordinator, and I think that's what we do need to focus on. Hopefully we can retain Jim Schwartz. I know the reports are saying that he's pissed off and on his way out, but hopefully we can change his mind and keep him here in Cleveland. That's all I have. Go Browns. Woo-hoo.
All right, Greg, appreciate the voicemail. Yeah, man, Jim Schwartz is gone. He's out. He's done. He's not coming back. I think it's going to take I don't know what it would take for the Browns to convince him to come back and stick around here. And if they were able to convince him, I already said this earlier in the show, but do we really want that? The guy just threw a fit, stormed out of the building, told everybody he was done. Effing out of here, baby, because he didn't get the job. Is it really going to work if he comes back and says, fine, I'll coach under this guy you gave the job to under me or over me, and now I'm pissed off about it, but I'll stay. I don't know if it's going to go very well, guys. So I think for all intents and purposes, you just got to consider Jim Schwartz is gone. But Greg, thank you for the pros and cons. You're kind of that middle ground fan looking at it from both ways, the way I'm trying to give it to you guys today. Like, look, I'm not thrilled about it. Wasn't my first choice. Wasn't really on my list of choices to begin with at all. There are ways this can work. There's also ways it cannot work. If you're telling yourself it's 100% going to work or it's 100% not, you're lying. You're lying to yourself that there aren't pros and cons on both sides of this thing. Yes, he's had success as an offensive coordinator at Georgia and Baltimore and some of these other places, but never as a head coach. It is a different role. We just got rid of a head coach who was it wasn't even like a brilliant offensive mind or anything. His offense sucked. I will say this about Todd Monken. I am more excited about his offensive system and him running the offense than I was about Kevin Stefanski. So there you have that. I do think the offense could, depending on personnel, of course, but I think it'll be better under Todd Monken. Now, the question is, can he run the whole team? That's the question, because he's never done it before. We know he can run an offense. Can he run the whole team? I think that's where Kevin struggled. We always said, sometimes better coordinator than a head coach, and we're going to see how that works for the Atlanta Falcons and their fans. Last voicemail today, and the rest of them, if you send in voicemails, I didn't get to them. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at them. I just don't have time right now. I will get to them on the next show. To wrap it up today, this one is from our girl, Hannah.
Hey guys, it's Hannah. I'm so fucking disappointed. I'm so disappointed in us, and it's not even funny. I don't think we're ever going to be, cheering Todd Monken's name as Browns fans. I think this is a joke. I think when, we say, oh, it's just Cleveland being Cleveland, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. What are you talking about? You had two guys who worked with other teams with 13-4 and 12-4 or 12-3 records. You're telling me you passed up on potential up-and-coming head coaches with teams who are in the playoffs for a man who is 60 years old, never had coached a day in his life, and has what? Mentally, they didn't go to the playoffs this year. They didn't. That is an indication. He is the active play caller. You're telling me you want him to come coach your team? Someone who has been play calling and doing all that for a team who went 8-9 this year. Didn't even see the playoffs. Wasn't in the wild card. I'm sorry, but someone get on here and tell me good things about this man, because I see none. Thanks, guys. I love you guys. You guys are amazing.
All right. Thanks, Hannah. You're amazing, too. Always appreciate hearing from you. To throw a little defense shield up for Todd Monken with the Ravens here in 2025, that defense was ass in Baltimore. The defense was terrible, and Lamar Jackson missed a ton of time with injury. Those things will cause you to lose games. And so I think that it was not just Todd Monken's offense not being successful. Actually, it might be a little bit of the opposite. It was probably his offense overcoming some things in some situations in games that they won. You go and you look at like the Packers game that they won, that they had to force that game in week 18 against the Steelers for the division because of what the offense was able to come and do against that Packers defense. So I do think that Todd Monken can run a very good offense. We talked about the pros and cons. I hope you listened to the rest of this episode, Hannah, and you heard the positives. I'm not saying you got to change your mind. I am not saying listen to the positives, buy into it, go all in. Don't doubt it. Doubt it. Question it. Be critical or be skeptical. Please. That is what it's all about. You can't just accept what they're saying and say, well, obviously the Browns, if this is the choice they made, it was the right choice. They don't have a track record of making the right choices, guys, so that's okay to question it. But your argument, Hannah, brought me to the text conversation that I was having with Blake and Justin yesterday after the news dropped. Justin simply said, guys, what are we even doing? And then Blake pointed out that Baltimore was so done with Todd Monken that they fired John Harbaugh just to make sure that both Monken and defensive coordinator Zach Orr would also leave. John Harbaugh, if you remember, refused to fire those coordinators, so the Ravens showed all three of them the door. It's not exactly a fairy tale ending in Baltimore that led into this first-time head coaching stint with Cleveland. Of course, you can look at this other ways, too. You could say, hey, the Giants fans could be very concerned with how things went with Harbaugh in Baltimore. You could say Falcons fans could be very concerned with having Stefanski after the last 2 seasons here in Cleveland. Titans fans could be concerned with Robert Saleh after his first shot and how that went in New York with the Jets. There's always pros and cons when you're hiring a new coach. There's ways it can go great. There's ways it can go really bad. And usually things fall somewhere in the middle, which in all honesty is probably how the Monken tenure in Cleveland is going to go. But you never know. This could work out. To speak to, I think it was Greg a couple voicemails ago, said, hiring this older 60-year-old coach does not speak to a longevity outlook for the team. Hey, we're not hiring this guy hoping he can be our John Harbaugh and be 2 decades head coach here because he'll be 80 freaking years old. It's not going to happen. So this is not a super long-term play. I think what you're looking at here, Browns fans, and this is again just to kind of wrap up the show here today on a couple of last thoughts and opinions from me. I threw out this on a live show, I think even before the season was over, when we were talking about hiring coaches and Blake saying there's nobody to hire, there's no candidates, yada, yada, yada. And I actually threw out the idea of a bridge head coach, and now I've heard that in the media as well. This could be a situation where you kind of have a bridge head coach, where a guy comes in here, stabilizes things a little bit, pulls a couple pieces together, maybe helps develop a quarterback or a wide receiver, some of these young guys, and you start to see some progress. But the record might not totally reflect what you're trying to ultimately do as an organization. You might be going 6-11. Okay? That's not going to get it done. But you're going to see progress with the roster. You're going to see positive signs that will be more enticing and more attractive to the next head coach. And that is where the bridge head coach concept comes in. And that might very well be what we're doing. Maybe not intentionally, but I think that's what it's going to ultimately be with Todd Monken. You're going to have a bridge head coach situation going from one young first-time head coach in Kevin Stefanski to probably the next young first-time head coach. Maybe it will end up being Grant Udinski or Nate Shieldhouse or some other guy who's working under Sean McVay. Just blows my mind that people were upset that the Browns were really considering a Sean McVay disciple whenever all I've heard for years is, why can't we just get somebody from the Sean McVay coaching tree? Well, we could have. I mean, he was right there. We were working on it, but it didn't happen. So whatever, we'll see how it goes. Again, just have an open mind if you can. There are ways this can work out. I detailed it all here on the show. We'll be talking about it at a time. We got the live show coming up this weekend. We'll get Blake and Justin's opinions. I promise you, don't expect Blake to be very positive about it, but that's okay. I'm not overly optimistic that this is going to work out very well. But again, you never know. Got to give it a chance. Let's see what they do with the rest of the coaching staff that he brings in. Let's see what they do with free agency. Do they build up the offensive line? I mean, getting getting Todd Monken, the OC from Baltimore, and the offensive line coach from Baltimore could very much help the Browns secure Tyler Lindenbaum, the center, free agent from Baltimore, could potentially come to Cleveland now. We were worried he might just be going to sign with the Giants because that's now we're Harbaugh, and we assumed Todd Monken was going to be, but now that you got Monken and the O-line coach here, maybe you're able to get a top free agent on the offensive line like Tyler Lindenbaum. That would be a huge step in the right direction for this team for 2026. And then it's all about the draft. What do we do? Who do we get? How are we going to build up this offensive roster so that we can actually be competitive in games starting in September? So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. I know I say that all the time, and I hope you understand that I mean it. I mean it. I appreciate you guys watching the show, engaging with the content, leaving comments, following us on social media, talking, everything. Leaving voicemails, getting your feedback on the show. It's so much fun. I have a freaking blast doing this show, and it's growing, guys. There's more coming in the future. I'm very excited about some of the vision that I have for the podcast and things in the future. So just keep following, stay tuned. If there's stuff I'm doing that you don't like, let me know. Give me the feedback. I listen to you, and I appreciate you. So thank you again. Let's ride this wave together. And it's okay to debate, but just be open to if you don't like it and somebody else does, listen to why, because they might have some good points. And if you like it and somebody else doesn't, listen to them because there's good reasons why they don't like it. And the truth will be in the record. That come this time next year, we'll look back and we'll know how it went. And we'll know if we were right to feel bad about it or if we were right to feel good about it. So you guys rock. JoinTheDawgs.com if you want to support the show, if you want to join the dog pack, you want to get into the community, you want to get into the Discord and hang out with everybody and chat and talk and have these conversations with diehard Browns fans from around the world. JoinTheDawgs.com if you want to leave your voicemails. It's thedogspodcast.com. Follow us on all the socials at The Dogs Podcast. That's the handle everywhere. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Again, if you left a voicemail, I didn't get to it, I will on the next one. You will not be forgotten. We'll get all of your feedback and opinions about this hire. Play it on the show. We'll react and we'll talk about it. And we'll see you guys and gals in the next one. Let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is partnered with Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay just to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Will Shedeur Sanders be the Browns' Week 1 starting quarterback? Will the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl? Will Fernando Mendoza be the first overall pick in the NFL draft? And in other sports, will the Cavs make the NBA playoffs? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $10 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs and trades $100. Get away from disadvantageous sports books and dive into real world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to Kalshi, KALSHI.com/dogs, DAWGS, or just click the link in the description to get $10 when you trade $100 with Kalshi. Because why shouldn't you get paid for being right?